All right, hello. This is Derek at Coffee with Derek, coming live from Madison Avenue Studios in Owego. And today is podcast number 2. Podcast number 1, recap quick. We talked about just a couple of foundation laying, my body, 2010 to 2017. Covered some physical stats, where I was, medication list. We talked about depression, anxiety, mental aspects, and some financial stuff. And today we're going to dive a little deeper into leading up to the major health change. A lot of people that follow my Facebook feeds have been seeing a big change in everything I've been doing for the last couple months. So we're going to talk about that, most particularly the why this all started and why it took me 2 years from 2015 to now. So grab some coffee. I got mine, and let's do this. So today we're gonna go into 2017 now. 2 years I've been struggling with everything, the weight, the financial aspect, mind, body, soul, everything. So August 21st, 2017, that's when the injury occurred. That pretty much was the catalyst for this whole entire health change. And I fell through a flight of stairs at work, broke my ankle. Most directly, what I broke was my talus bone in my right ankle, right in the area where I had just 2 years ago, 2 Augusts ago, had surgery to repair some ligaments in that area. But I broke the bone, so it was a compression fracture of the talus bone that we found on an MRI. Actually, when I first went to the workers' comp doctors, it didn't even show up on the x-rays. I finally went to see my normal podiatrist and surgeon, and that's when he decided that we need an MRI to go in there and check a look, and that's when he saw the compression fractures. So, right post-injury, I ended up going to... I was at 5 different doctors at one point. I had to go see the workers' comp doctor for Ahmed. I had to go back to Ahmed to get approvals a couple days later. Let me back up. So when the original injury happened, I went to Ahmed. Ahmed said, go get x-rays. I went and got x-rays. X-rays were non-conclusive, didn't look like anything. First doctor, Dr. 1, sends me home back to work. I wake up the next day. Ankle's killing me, swollen, something is not right. I call back to Ahmed, talk to the workers' comp adjuster. She says, you got to come back in because I got to see another doctor. So I came back in, saw another doctor. I explained to her my previous injury or my previous dealings with the doctor, with the podiatrist. And then she said, yeah, you should probably go see him and see what he says. So now I'm back to my podiatrist. That's doctor number 3. I see him. He agrees we should do an MRI just to make sure what's going on in there. Because at this point now, it's a couple days later. I'm in a lot of pain. There's swelling. I knew something was wrong. Something was definitely wrong. So I get the MRI. Come to find out I have the compression fracture. Great. Now what? What do we do? So he wasn't sure. It's kind of outside his scope of practice. He wasn't sure. He didn't want to say... here or there. He wanted me to go see a specialist. So he sent me up to a specialist in Syracuse. So I met the specialist in Syracuse. He looked at the x-rays. He looked at the MRI. And he had little any hope that even what he could do would even actually fix my problem and or give me any sort of relief. He basically said, you have two options. One, deal with the pain for as long as you possibly can. Or two, we can fuse your ankle. And his version of fusing the ankle was putting an 18-inch rod up through my heel into my bone and fusing it that way. But at that point, with everything else that I had going on, at some point down the road, I would have to go back in for another surgery. He said I would start having failures of other ankle joints and other things, and I'd probably end up having to have a multiple level fusion at some point. And his biggest thing was at 40, I don't know if that's exactly the route to go. If you were 60, absolutely, we'll fuse it and you'll live the rest of your life like that, and that's fine. At 40, not so sure that's the best route for you. So me and Caroline sat there in total disbelief. I mean, we were in this guy's office for like 2 minutes, and he basically looked at us and said, nothing I could do, have a nice day. In short, that was it. We kind of left there like just kind of spinning. I remember sitting in the car in the parking lot with Caroline going, okay, what just happened? Because I'm not really sure. And she just like, I don't know. So on our way home, actually, we're just outside of Tully, and I call back to the office, and I'm like, so wait a second, what did this guy just say? Because now it's all like playing in my brain, and I'm like, did he just basically say, have a nice day? Like, walk around in pain for the rest of my life, or what? So we wrote down some stuff, and I called back to my podiatrist, and we sat down and talked to him. So I had to go back to see him. So now I'm back to doctor number 3 after seeing doctor number 4. So we sit down, and he says, okay, well, here's what we can do. So let's call in doctor number 5. Let's see if we can not go the surgery route, and if we can strengthen you up and help fix you. So here we go back to doctor number 5 post-injury, which is actually somebody that I had dealt with before through a lot of other physical ailments. So doctor number 5, doctor number 3 basically get together, come up with a game plan. We sat down, me, my wife, and the doctors, and we kind of laid out what the next couple months were going to look like for me. So now we're into September, end of September 2017, and we're kind of just trying to figure out what to do. I'm dealing with the worker comp lawyers. I had 2 lawyers at this point. I had a workers' comp lawyer, and then I had a personal injury lawyer, and I was dealing with the Ahmed nurses and the doctors to try and figure out what would be the best route for me. And through all this, all 5 doctors, long and short, none of them had an answer. They all kind of had a different idea of what to do. I really, at this point, didn't want to go down the surgery route. I didn't know if that was really where I wanted to go. But the biggest and the most consistent prognosis was, hey, you know what? It'd probably help if you lose some weight. That would help. Get the weight off of that ankle. It's the only thing you haven't tried. So maybe you should look into that. So that's how this whole ball started rolling. So while this is all going on, I met with the 5 doctors, kind of got a game plan. My frustration level dealing with occupational medicine and, going through all the doctors and not having I'm a pretty black and white guy. And there's no black and white answers. And that frustrates me. I just wanted, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what's going to work. Let's do this. And that's not what I was getting. So it was very frustrating. The feel of defeat and anger and just why me, but I just kept moving forward. I remember, one of the pastors of my church had done a series a long time ago, about, why me and why not you? So That was one of the things that resonated in my brain. There's got to be a reason for this, and I just got to figure it out and move forward. So I just kept plugging along, playing the game, going to the doctors, going to physical therapy, working out. So the whole month of September, I basically sat there sitting, saying to myself, okay, what's going to give? What's going to be next? At this point, I still wasn't even trying to lose weight or do anything. I had just previously lost a bunch of weight. I was down to about 330, 320. I lost about 30 or 40 pounds over the last couple of years, but never really anything sustainable. I would go down, come back, go down. We call that yo-yoing now in the health community. Just trying to be mindful of what I was doing, but nothing was really working. So I started to, try and figure out my decisions. I mean, I literally had like a pros and cons list of surgery, no surgery, what will my life look like post if I had decided to have it fused versus not having it fused versus, do I go somewhere else? I went up to Syracuse. These guys were like the people from Canada come down and see these guys. The place was it was a total mob scene when we were there. I mean, they had to be doing something right because Caroline and I pulled into the parking lot and we were like, holy moly, look at all these cars, people everywhere. The place was like a shopping mall inside. It was crazy. There was people everywhere. So we're like, okay, this has got to be something good. These guys got to know what they're doing because people were coming down from Canada. We saw Canadian license plates in the parking lot because they can't get the help in Canada. They're coming down to New York, of all places, Syracuse, New York, to get help. So I didn't think that was the wrong way to go. Just trying to figure it out. So I started researching everything. I mean, I learned more about my ankle and what it does in those couple of weeks than I had ever known before. The old song, your knee bone's connected to your ankle bone and everything in between. And just some of the other issues that I had previously with my back and my hips and my ankle and my knee, and it's all connected. It's all one big giant muscle and bone of disaster for me. And it was just something I struggled with for so long. And then I started realizing, like, it all started clicking to me like, oh, well, if I'm having the ankle problem, it leads to my knee problem, which leads to my hip problem, which leads to my back problem. And then I started realizing that, if I don't fix everything, nothing is going to get fixed. So I started researching, how can Derek lose weight? I quickly came to the point of Derek needing to take Derek out of the equation because Derek wasn't working, bottom line. So what I was doing or not doing or trying and not trying wasn't doing. I needed something completely radical, something completely different. So I started talking to every single person that I could think of that did some sort of anything, whether it was a program, online coaching, having a coach, getting a coach, diet plans, what foods people were eating. I mean, I spent an entire month just reading and talking to people and trying to figure out what to do. Because again, I was struggling so bad at that point, just not knowing. Every day, just sitting there at my table, like, okay, great, what? Being in pain, walking, going to physical therapy, sitting at a desk at my office, just contemplating life and what direction I should go. Not fun. Basically consumed my everyday everything. I mean, I felt like, August, September kind of basically was like a blur to me because I just was focusing on one thing, and that was it. That's all I did. And it was just, as far as the frustration level, was probably my epic amount of, I mean, I don't even know I can't even put it in words how frustrated I was. So come back to, now it's kind of like the end of September, still doing some research, still going to physical therapy. Therapy basically got to a point where, I started going to physical therapy for my ankle. And the doctor quickly realized, or not doctor, but the physical therapist, kind of pretty much realized that the focal point maybe not be my ankle. Yes, that's the problem, but not the focal point. Maybe we needed to take a step back, look at the whole body as a system, and kind of retweak how we were looking at things. Because we weren't seeing a lot of progress. There was some, but not a lot. So we kind of got together again with podiatry and my physical therapist, and we came up with another plan. And this plan was to kind of try and strengthen everything leading up to my ankle, hip, back, leg. Let's go from there. Let's make everything stronger that's holding my ankle together, and hopefully that will help. So that's kind of like the next was the next step in the process. We sat down, we came to things. So basically I'm at physical. So now it's, getting towards the end of September. I'm at physical therapy 3 days a week, about an hour and a half every morning, or 3 days a week in the morning. And now we're working on strengthening up my whole body, not just doing ankle stuff, but hips. I was doing all kinds of different stuff. So once we started doing that, we actually started seeing some great resolve and a lot of benefit to what I was doing. And they worked a lot with my gait, which is the way I walk, trying to strengthen up my right side of my body because of the drop foot issue that I was kind of having and the the injuries prior. I kind of had a lot of things going on there. So they said, "Oh, let's try that." So I was actually seeing a lot of progress, which was nice for me because physically or mentally, I was kind of getting frustrated because I wasn't seeing any progress. So once we decided to switch it up, I started seeing some progress, and that kind of gave me some mindset that I could, maybe pull through this. So coming into November of that year, I'm just going to sidetrack for 1 second. So November, we sit down with the doctor number 5, doctor number 3, and they came up with this idea that this new brace that was kind of new in the market. It's been a couple years old that might help me. I had tried a whole bunch of different ankle braces. None of them worked. This is the 4th one I've had. And so let's try it. So workers' comp was on board, and I got this new brace. So the brace kind of does 2 things for me. It kind of immobilizes my ankle joint, and it helps with the mild drop foot that I have. And that, at first, I was a little leery. Again, I could talk for hours on how the brace made me feel physically and emotionally, but bottom line was it was helping me get where I needed to be. So all in all, it was a game changer for me. Total 100%, 180 switch, unbelievable in every aspect of my life. So that was huge. But again, getting all the people in the right place at the right time, all sitting in the same room, that was huge for me. I got my physical therapist, the doctor of physical therapy, doctor number 5, doctor number 3, all in the same room, all of us sitting there. Hey, let's try this, which was fine. At least I had, a game plan. Might have not been the black and white I wanted, but at least it was something to aspire for and go towards. So, again, huge game changer. So this is actually November when this started, with the brace, and I can't even begin to tell you how it even changed my life. So I guess another story for another day. So decided that we're going to talk about the brace. So here's the brace. So now it's November 14th, 2017. Why I know that day? Kind of wrote down in a couple places because that was probably physically for me one of the biggest hurdles I've had to come about. I get this brace, and I can't even begin to tell you how it changed my life. Um, uh, it's an external AFO, ankle foot orthotic. I had, like I said before, I had tried a bunch of different braces. The braces weren't working. I had just a regular nylon brace with Velcro and laces. Then I graduated to another nylon brace with Velcro braces. This time it had plastic slats that went on the side to kind of give me some support. That didn't work. That actually was more painful than anything. Then we tried an internal ankle foot orthotic, which kind of went into my shoe. That was miserable. I mean, I couldn't even walk. I don't know how people walk with that thing. So lo and behold, here comes the external AFO, ankle foot orthotic, and it goes on the outside of my shoe, and it kind of acts like a lever of sorts, and it helps me with my drop foot, helps keep that ankle part immobilized. But when I first saw this contraption, I didn't even know what to think of it. It came in a big box. There was all these different things. It's telling me I could use a blowtorch to make it work. I mean, it was like, look at this thing. I literally walk in. I remember the day I walked in with this bag to physical therapy, and everybody was looking at like, what is that? I had a Sawzall with me. I had a hammer, screwdriver. Like, I mean, this thing was like, I didn't even know what to do. It came in all these pieces, and we're all kind of looking at it like, whoa, okay. So I sat down, figured it out. Once we got the whole, like, how it works, and was like, oh, okay, then it made sense. I didn't need to blow a torch after all. Thought we were going to blow a torch right in the middle of the physical therapy board in the clinic, but we ended up not doing that. That was probably good call on everybody's part. But so anyway, so we got this thing together. I remember standing my first time I walked down the hallway with it. I was like, this isn't going to work. This is ridiculous. I'm 40 years old and I have this thing attached to my leg, and this is just not going to work. So again, I got frustrated, went home, and, just sat there kind of looking at it. I mean, the first one I kind of threw across the floor after about 10 minutes. It hurt so bad I couldn't even deal with it. Now this one I'm kind of looking at, it didn't hurt, but it just totally weird. I just looked at this thing like, this is what my life has come to. Like, what am I going to do with this thing? So again, I had to take Derek out of the equation because Derek gets frustrated fast and I have little patience for things. So I realized that there was a reason why all this came to be about. So I just had to give it a chance. So I put it together. I measure it to the shoes I had at the time, and put it on, walked around with it for about an hour or two. And I realized, wow, okay, this actually is making a big difference. I could walk straight. I could put my toes straight. I can't even begin to say like how I used to walk. Really bad. My right foot was pitched out. So, like, I actually led with my inner heel, not my toes. So I kind of walked funny all the time. And I realized just in a short hour or two, I was actually kind of walking straight, which was, like, weird for me because I basically had to retrain myself how to walk in my living room. So I was doing that, and then I get back to PT the next day, and they were like, oh, wow, look at that. Here you are. Now it's on. So now I have something to work with. And from there, like, I had to go back, basically had to retrain myself. I had been going to PT for weeks now, and it was like starting all over. We started back to square one, just flexing my leg up and down, toes up and down. I literally had a block of wood I would stand on and just kind of like mimic like a walking up and down a stair, just to get that, muscle memory back. Because I hadn't walked like that for so long. It was weird to me. I actually had to think about walking again. So I started retraining myself how to get into it. And in a short amount of time, like couple of days, couple of sessions, I was to the point where they kind of wanted to, have me wear the brace a couple hours a day and switch in and out. I think after day 2 or 3, Like they wanted me basically over the next week or so to kind of like a couple hours a day work into it. And by day 3, I had it on 24/7. By day 3, I knew that it was what I needed to be, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm not even gonna break it in. I'm just going to throw it on. And so far, it's been one of the best decisions of my life. And I'm thankful that we got to that point, because maybe had I not had the injury, who knows? Like, there's a cause and reaction for everything. So, just getting there, I mean, total game changer. My confidence level started to go up. I was like, wow, it's actually like something to help me. Do I like the way that it looks? No. Do I like the way that it feels? Not every day, but it's working. So it's given me back a little bit of hope that I can have some sort of a usable future, and be able to do things with my family that I want to do that I wasn't able to do. I couldn't endure a lot of walking. It was very painful. I had one of those little scooter things to scoot around on, like a knee walker. Just to get to the back of Target was a stretch for me. Like I'd walk to the back of Target after getting out of my truck, and I was in so much pain I didn't want to do anything else. So the brace itself was just huge. It kind of gave me, like I said, just gave me that hope. So we'll talk more about that coming up. There's a whole nother aspect to the brace and to the where the brace came from, and so stay tuned for that. So thanks for tuning in. However you're watching or listening, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We're gonna have a Facebook, Coffee with Derek. We also have a YouTube channel and a podcast coming up. So we're gonna try and do weekly releases. So make sure you like it, make sure you follow us, and we appreciate you guys listening in. Thanks.